KGH Academy. As a part of Group 1 Mains Science and Technology, today we are going to discuss a topic called as evolution of Isro. It's a very interesting topic and multifaceted topic. The main concept of this topic is role and development of Isro. You can use this component for your broader perspective of the development and progress of space technology in India. So, I would like to convey you one important thing. ISRO evolution is nothing but development of space technology. Are you getting my point? So, the development of science and technology in India, if the question is like that, you can also make an answer that role and development of space technology and role and development of science and technology can also be included in this chapter. So, what is this evolution? And we can say ISRO was not established in its earlier form. ISRO was established in the earlier form called as INCOSPAR. ISRO was established in the form called as what? No? INCOSPAR. What is INCOSPAR? Indian National Committee for Space Research. Actually, I always admire by knowing how the ISRO was established. In 1962, it is always a great inspiring story for every individual. In 1962, ISRO has, what was the scenario of India in 1962? In 1962, we were extremely suffocated with Indo-China war, Indo-Pakistan war, and we were unable to continue our five-year plan, and we have shifted those five-year plans into annual plans. And even in this particular scenario, India has dared to establish ISRO. What is the essence of this experiment is, establishment of ISRO is a tremendous achievement. Okay, for example, during the unfavorable climatic conditions or during the unfavorable situations, ISRO help. If you, for example, COVID-19 is there, you should not discriminate. You should not think that, so this is the point, I should not able to take the decisions. This is the time you need to take the decisions whenever you are under crisis, whenever you are under stress. You must not stop thinking, you must not stop working. You must work double, you must work, think double during the crisis situations. So, so establishment of ISRO in 1962 in the form of INCOSPAR has led the emergence of space technology in the world. So what is the unique feature of ISRO is, ISRO has made from 1962 to 2022, the development and progress of ISRO is unimaginable in 1962. So was established by Jawaharlal Nehru in 1962 under the Department of Atomic Energy. Under which department, so by that time, actually there are three prominent scientists, I always admire those three people. Raja Ramanna, number 2, Vikram Sarabhai, Homi Jahangir Baba. These are the three prominent personalities who were behind the establishment of INCOSPAR, and they convinced Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to establish INCOSPAR in 1962. What is the original name of INCOSPAR is nothing but Indian National Committee for Space Research. Indian National Committee for Space Research. And under the ministry, under the Department of Atomic Energy, it can also be expected as your preliminary question. So it was, INCOSPAR was established by Jawaharlal Nehru under the Department of Atomic Energy. Under the Department of Atomic Energy. So who was the man behind this? Undoubtedly Vikram Sarabhai. What is the contribution of Vikram Sarabhai? Vikram Sarabhai, who is is considered as father of space technology, and his words are always inspiring. Okay, so India must not follow the footsteps of the developed countries by seeing in a fantasy mode. Okay, for example, NASA launched a mission. We should not able to launch. We should not take inspiration from them to launch that particular mission. India should take the inspiration from that particular area for launching the missions, for launching the, to solve the socio-economic problems. ISRO should, are you getting my point? The launches of ISRO should always help to solve the socio-economic problems of India. Should solve the socio-economic problems of India. Eminent scientist Dr. Vikram Sarabhai had a big role in this development. So, I always believe that C.V. Raman and Vikram Sarabhai and APJ Abdul Kalam, K. Shivan are the people who has extremely contributed for the space technology. So you might be surprised. So C.V. Raman is nowhere related with the space technology. Yes, but C.V. Raman effect has inspired several young and enthusiasts to choose physics as career. That is how physics has become one of the prominent scientists. That is how Vikram Sarabhai chosen physics as his. He has done PhD in physics. That is how this Vikram Ambalal Sarabhai was. He is considered as the father of Indian space technology. So, INCOSPAR set up the Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station, TERLS. TERLS. INCOSPAR set up the Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station at Tumba near Thiruvananthapuram at India's southern tip. TELS is a space port used to launch rockets. So before the establishment of Sriharikota High Altitude Range or SHAR, ISRO used to launch the satellites from the rocket launching station called as TERLS. What is TERLS? Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station. Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station near Thiruvananthapuram, and which is the southernmost tip of the India. Why from the southernmost tip of India has been chosen to launch the satellites? The southernmost tip of India is almost very near to the equator. As it is near to the equator, are you getting my point? As it is very near to the equator, so it will be extremely useful. We can launch the satellites with low escape velocity. So this can be a important stuff for your examination point of view. That is why I'm extending this discussion with reference to this. So gravitational force, the gravitational force will have its impact on a concept called gravitational force and escape velocity. Gravitational force and escape velocity are the two important factors. So if there is more gravity, more escape velocity you need. Okay, if there is more gravity, gravitational force is more, you need to make the spacecraft to fly with more escape velocity. So where the escape, for example, at the poles, more gravity will be there, and you need to travel you need to have more escape velocity. What is escape velocity? Velocity required to overcome the gravitational force. So if a rocket is supposed to travel, it should have escape velocity. What is escape velocity? Velocity required to overcome the gravitational force is called as escape velocity. Velocity required to overcome the gravitational force is called as what? Escape velocity. So if more gravity is there, you need to have more escape velocity, isn't it or not? So if there is more gravity, more escape velocity is required. Point number 2. So at where do we have more gravity? At the poles. So at north and south poles we have more gravity. So if the gravity is less, less escape velocity can be enough. Okay, so Tumba equatorial region is very near to the equator, hence it can have less gravitational force, and as it is supposed to have less gravitational force, it can from there we can able to launch the satellites with least escape velocity. That is why all the rocket launching stations of the world, most of the rocket launching stations will be deployed from the equatorial region. Will be deployed from what? Equatorial region. TELS is a spaceport used to launch rockets. TELS is a spaceport used to launch rockets. So the INCOSPAR became ISRO in 1969. The Department of Space was created in 1972. That evolution. It took 10 years for the conversion of INCOSPAR from 1962 to 1969. For 7 years, it was acted as INCOSPAR. But what happened in 1972? So till 1972, it was under the operation of the concept called as it was under the operation of Department of Atomic Energy. But in 1972, it was under the Ministry of Atomic Energy. It was Department of Space was created in 1972. Department of Space was created in 1972. So and ISRO became a part of it and remains so till date. The Space Department reports directly to the Prime Minister of the country. That is one of the primariness, or we can say one of the advanced or giving more preference to the space technology can be seen. ISRO comes under the Department of Space, and Department of Space directly reports to PMO, Prime Minister of India. So that is why the perks, allowances, salaries of the space scientists will be extremely more than the scientists, than the other departmental scientists. Okay, so 1962 INCOSPAR was created. 1969 the ISRO was INCOSPAR was renamed as ISRO, and in 1969 to 1972 the ISRO was changed. Department of Space was created. Department of Space was created in 1972. The Space Department reports directly to the Prime Minister of the country. During 1975 to 1976. So what is 1975 to 1976? 1975-1976, a satellite instructional television experiment site was conducted. It was hailed as the largest sociological experiment in the world. Are you getting my point? Once the ISRO was established in 1969. Once ISRO was brought under the Ministry of Department of Space, from there site was launched. So what was conducted? Satellite instructional television experiment. Satellite instructional television experiment was conducted in 1975 to 1976, 1975 to 1976, and was conducted. It was hailed as the largest sociological experiment in the world. It was hailed as the largest sociological experiment in the world. Largest sociological experiment in the world. So this has with this such a massive background, so such a huge background of site experiment. So India was in a comfortable position to launch satellites for the needs of the particular individuals. It was followed by the KEDA Communications Project, which worked as a field laboratory for need-based and local specific program transmission in the state of the Gujarat, in Gujarat state. So you can see that evolution, if you can able to. So for example, any of these points you can pick out and you can write them. In 1962, INCOSPAR was created. 1969, ISRO was INCOSPAR was renamed as ISRO. 1972, Department of Space was created. 1975-76, site project was launched, which is the world's largest socio-economic project. And it was, so in the same year we can say KCP, KEDA Communication Project was launched. And so what is the objective of this KEDA Communication Project? Worked as a field laboratory for need-based and local specific program. Need-based and local specific program transmission in the state of the Gujarat. During this phase, the first Indian spacecraft Aryabhatta was developed and was launched using Soviet launcher. So what is the first satellite that has been launched by India is nothing but Aryabhatta. It is not from our own launching vehicle. It was launched from the Soviet Union launching vehicle. So it was launched through the USSR or Soviet Union's launching vehicle. Another major landmark was the development of the first launch vehicle SLV-3. So are you comfortably following now? So I'm repeating it now. So by the time the class completes, you should be able to come out with so much of reproduction. 1962 INCOSPAR established. 1969 ISRO was established. 1972 Department of Space was created. 1975-76 site was created, followed by KCP, KEDA Communication Project, and followed by first satellite called as Aryabhatta was launched. After this, another major landmark was the development of the first launching vehicle SLV-3 with a capability to place 40 kgs in low Earth orbit, which had its first successful flight in 1980. So by the time we reach it to the 1980, so it took for us for more than 18 years to deploy our own launching vehicle called as SLV, satellite launching vehicle. So watch the video called as Evolution of the Launching Vehicles. I have kept the video called as Evolution of the Launching Vehicle. I made a video on evolution of the launching vehicles, try to make a comprehensive information on that particular SLV3. Okay, SLV, ASLV, PSLV, GSLV. So those 4 launching vehicles are very important for your examination point of view. And coming to this, another major landmark was the development of the first launching vehicle SLV3 with the capability to place 40 kgs in low Earth orbit, which had its first successful flight in 1980. 80s was the experimental phase wherein Bhaskara 1 and Bhaskara 2 missions were pioneering steps in the remote sensing area, whereas Ariane passenger payload experiment Apple became the forerunner for the future communication satellite systems. Okay, so what is the first communication satellite? Is nothing but Apple was the first communication system. Okay, so Steve Jobs, India has launched it. India has its own Apple much earlier than Steve Jobs' Apple. What was the Apple? Ariane passenger payload experiment became the forerunner for the future communications. So, if you look at the India space program, we can broadly categorize the India space program into 2 areas. One is remote sensing. Second one is telecommunications. Remote sensing and telecommunications. The remote sensing satellites are mostly, we can say, IRS are the remote sensing satellites. Telecom satellites are nothing but INSAT satellites. Telecom satellites are nothing but what? INSAT satellites. So IRS, Indian remote sensing satellites. Are you getting my point? What is the primitive or the primary satellite for the remote sensing system in India of Isro are nothing but what? Bhaskara 1 and Bhaskara 2. Bhaskara 1 and Bhaskara 2. Whereas in the case of INSAT, telecommunication, INSAT, what was the first primitive satellite for is nothing but Apple. I hope you understand this point now. By the time 1980s, 1970s is the 1960, we can say 1960 is the decade for the establishment of institutions. So that is why our success is tremendous. 1960 to 1970, we have seen the several establishment of several institutions. 1970 is a decade where India has established several major, tried to establish several experiments, so survey type of mode. 1980s, we started establishing our launching vehicles as well as satellites. What are the satellites of India? Are nothing but the, for remote sensing, we have Bhaskara 1 and 2. For telecommunications, we have INSAT, like Apple. Bhaskara 1 and 2 missions were pioneering steps in the remote sensing area, whereas Ariane Apple became the forerunner for the future communication satellite system. So, for example, if you have a question, briefly explain about the remote sensing development in India. So, you must start your answer from the Bhaskara 1 and Bhaskara 2 and to the recent Cartosat satellite. Till the recent Cartosat satellite, you can make a comprehensive answer on this segment. Antrix Corporation Limited is a marketing arm of Isro for promotion and commercial exploitation of space products, technical consultancy, services and transfer of technologies developed by Isro. So Antrix is one of the external trade wing of Isro. We can call Antrix is the external trade wing of Isro. External trade wing of Isro. What is the unique feature of this external trade wing of Isro? This is the part. What are the functions? It will marketing arm of Isro for promotion and commercial exploitation of space products. For the promotion and commercial exploitation of the space products, technical consultancy services and transfer of technologies developed by Isro. What it will do now? So it will promote promotion and commercial exploitation of space products. Promotion and commercial exploitation of the space products, technical consultancy services and transfer of technologies developed by Isro. So, for example, Isro developed any of the technologies like cryogenic technology or semi-cryogenic technology. So, those technologies will be the patents, and for example, if any other country wants these products developed by Isro, will be supplied are supposed to be supplied through the Antrix. But now, in the place of Antrix, we have two organizations. Number one, InSpace, and number two is nothing but NSIL, New Space India Limited, and InSpace. Okay, so those are the two different topics we'll discuss further. So, Antrix has been established for the promotion and commercial exploitation of space products. For the promotion and commercial exploitation of space products, technical consultancy services and transfer of technologies developed by ISRO. Next, VSSC, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. What is Vikram Sarabhai Space Center? Located in Thiruvananthapuram, the space research activities were initiated in India under Vikram Sarabhai, the founding father of Indian space program during 1960s. So LPSC, Liquid Propulsion System. So first we will discuss about the VSSC, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. So it was created by Vikram Ambalal Sarabhai, and so actually ISRO was supposed to conduct celebrate 2019 to 2020 as centenary celebrations of Vikram Sarabhai. But unfortunately, because of pandemic, we were unable to celebrate centenary celebrations of Vikram Ambalal Sarabhai. So the concept here it is. So Vikram Sarabhai Space Center located in Thiruvananthapuram, the space research activities were initiated in India under Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, the founding father of the Indian space research space program during 1960s. Liquid Propulsion System Center, LPSC. Where this LPSC is located? LPSC is located in Thiruvananthapuram or Trivandrum. Liquid Propulsion System Center is located in Trivandrum or Thiruvananthapuram. Satish Dhawan Space Center. These centers, so what are the main organizations? What are these? So SDSC is located in Sriharikota, Space Application Center in Ahmedabad, NRSC, National Remote Sensing Center in Hyderabad. If you look at the 2020 December APPSC Group 1 Mains Examination, Science and Technology. So these research centers have also. So they asked about 3 research centers and where, what are the headquarters. Okay. So Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, which will do the space research activities. So space research. So whereas in the case of Liquid Propulsion System Center, will develop the liquid fuel and cryogenic fuel. Liquid and cryogenic fuel used to be developed by this LPSC, Liquid Propulsion System Center of Trivandrum, will try to develop this particular fuels. So it will develop the cryogenic. It is also planning to develop the semi-cryogenic and all those things. Okay, so remember what is the name of the research center and what is the headquarter and what are the functions of that particular research organizations of ISRO. Main research organizations of ISRO can be extremely useful for your examination point of view. Satish Dhawan Space Center, which is the launching station of ISRO. Next, Space Application Center. What is Space Application Center? So this is the center which will try to provide you the information like telecommunication, teleeducation, telemedicine. Such an applications will be developed by the organization called as Space Application Center, which is located in Ahmedabad. So actually, as a founding father of space technology in India, he convinced several industrialists and rich people of Gujarat to mobilize the financial resources to give the place for the construction of the laboratories. That is why Vikram Sarabhai has successfully established more than 10 research organizations across India. So, majority of the research organizations established by Vikram Ambalal Sarabhai were established in Ahmedabad. So, space related activities. So, if you look at the PRL, Physical Research Laboratory, or else in the case of Space Application Center, and so these are the, so what is the application of, what are the functions, what is the function of the Space Applications? Space Application Center is responsible for providing the certain facilities like teleeducation, telemedicine and telecommunication systems will be extremely developed, and to provide the what are the extension of these particular areas will be provided by this center called as Space Application Center. Next, NRSC, National Remote Sensing Center, which is located in Hyderabad. What is remote sensing? To identify the natural resources, to identify the crop loss, to identify the diversity of the components. This NRSC, National Remote Sensing Center, has been created. Okay, so India's manned mission to space, also named as Gaganyaan, this project is a part of the government's ambition to make India a global low-cost provider of services in space. So, India is spending 10,000 crore rupees for launching three astronauts just for the duration of 36 hours. Don't think like that. So, if ISRO has become successful for launching this, ISRO can become the center for the space or space tourism, like commercial activities, like Amazon, Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos experiment, or Virgin Galactic experiment, likewise. So for them, any of the raw materials or the instruments that are needed for those. So ISRO is ready to supply them at the affordable and lower prices. So that is important. Ambition, it is not to blindly follow the developed nations as said by Vikram Ambalal Sarabhai. So to make India a global low-cost provider of services in space. India, a global low-cost provider of services in space. The launch vehicle for this mission will carry heavy payloads into space. For this purpose, GSLV Mk3 is being developed with a cryogenic engine. So what is the launching vehicle that is going to be used in Gaganyaan mission? The launching vehicle that is going to be used in Gaganyaan mission is nothing but what? Nothing but GSLV Mk3, which is popularly called as Bahubali rocket. Which is popularly called as what? Bahubali rocket. ISRO has already tested the GSLV Mk3 with experimental crew module re-entry, recovery technology and crew escape system. So ISRO has already developed. So for sending astronauts into the space, ISRO has done several experimental projects. What are the experimentals? Number one, crew module re-entry and recovery technology and crew escape system. So while returning from the space, so that is called as what? Re-entry and recovery technology and crew escape system, CES. In 2017, ISRO created another world record by launching 104 satellites on February 15th. Try to recollect, and I made a video on that 104 satellites launched by PSLV C-37. PSLV C-37 has carried 104 satellites on what date? February 15th, 2017. In a single rocket, it launched its heaviest rocket at the GSLV 3 and placed the GSAT-19 in orbit. So PSLV has carried 104 satellites and GSLV has carried GSLV Mk3 has placed one of its heaviest satellite called as GSAT-19. Scramjet, supersonic combustion ramjet engine. In August 2016, ISRO successfully conducted the Scramjet supersonic combustion ramjet engine called as Scramjet engine was also successfully tested. It uses hydrogen as fuel and oxygen from the atmosphere. In Scramjet engine, we have discussed about the Scramjet engine also. You just check the video. So, oxygen from the atmosphere, air as the oxidizer. ISRO's Advanced Technology Vehicle, ATV, ISRO's Advanced Technology Vehicle, which is an advanced sounding rocket, was a solid rocket booster used for the test of the scramjet engines at a supersonic conditions. So these are the brief information. So you can add Chandrayaan 1, Chandrayaan 2, Mangalyaan and Gaganyaan has been included. So main purpose of this is how ISRO has started its journey and how it has reached. So you can conclude this project information by mentioning how ISRO, are you getting my point? How ISRO is going to future projects. So in exam, in syllabus I have mentioned future projects of ISRO. What are the future projects of ISRO? Aditya L1 and India's International Space Station, and third Shukrayaan, Chandrayaan 3, Mars Orbiter mission. So MAM2 are the major missions that are planned to be, that are supposed to be launched by that are planned by ISRO for launching. So you can make a conclusive paragraph like that. So what we discussed in this video. First, we started discussing about 1962 INCOSPAR, 1962 ISRO, 1972 Department of Space, and in 1960 we can broadly categorize 1960s. The 1960s is the phase for industrial institutional development. 1970 is the we can say survey mode. 1980 is the decade where we can see we have seen the development of indigenous satellites as well as launching vehicles. First launching vehicle SLV-3, first launch satellite Aryabhatta, So from the foreign launching vehicle, from our Indian launching vehicles, we can see Bhaskara 1 and 2, which are the remote sensing satellites, whereas in the case of Apple, it was a telecommunication satellite. So after that, we started we discussed about Antrix, and then we were also discussing about some of the main concepts of after Antrix, how ISRO has tested the launching vehicles like Gaganyaan. So next topic was Gaganyaan, and some of the research stations, also research centers, followed by Gaganyaan, JSLV Mk3, and other future conclusion should be with reference to the future projects. How ISRO is going to launch various future projects of the mission. So these are the main concepts which we can discuss, particularly under the topic called as evolution of this space technology. How ISRO has emerged one of the world's most powerful space agency in the world. How ISRO has emerged as one of the most powerful space agencies in the world can be explained through this topic now. So that's it about the evolution of the ISRO.